Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic, coming at you guys with another ACSA video, and we got a special one here today. We are going to reveal not only all of the bowl game matchups for our inaugural ACSA bowl season, but also the top 4 teams that officially made it to the inaugural college football playoff in the American Collegiate Sports Association. So going to be a great episode here today, so do me a favor and please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you happen to be brand new, and like what you see as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at these bowl matchups in the ACSA to cap off season 1. With all that being officially said, though, let's go ahead and get into the cream of the crop right now. We have 4 slots for the official ACSA College Football Playoff. It was hard fought, but we have just recently received the 4 teams that will receive an invitation to go to the College Football Playoff, and they are going to be revealed very shortly here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the number 1 seed in the ACSA inaugural college football playoff. The number 1 seed will belong to the Warwick Rebels, hailing from Rhode Island and representing the Atlantic Shore Conference. This one was a no-brainer. Of course, the Warwick Rebels did end up finishing with an undefeated record. They also won their conference championship game, doing so by beating the southeastern coast of Florida by a final score of 31-22. So no surprises here. They will be receiving the number 1 seed in the ACSA college football playoff. But after that, that is the only certainty that is left. Several teams, in the top 5, top 8 area took some pretty tough losses during the conference championship week, and I'll tell you what, this is where things get really interesting now. Which teams will receive the final 3 slots into the ACSA college football playoff? Starting with the number 2 team, which the number 2 seed for the ACSA college football playoff goes to Lake Ozago. The Ironmen, representing the Rocky Mountain Conference, and maybe even of greater significance, will be representing the group of 5. Them and Virginia Christian are the only 2 teams that are currently ranked in the top 25, in this most recent ACSA poll. And so Lake Ozago carries the hopes and dreams of the entire group of 5 nation, and we'll see how Lake Ozago does. But a proud moment for this program for sure, going from unranked, nobody was even talking about them at the national level, all of a sudden they are here representing the Rocky Mountain Conference in the college football playoff. But with that being said, we still have 2 more slots, and so the number 3 seed here, who will play Lake Ozago in the second semifinal game, number 3 seed goes to Capital of Tennessee, home of the Bulldogs and representing for the Super South Conference. And I'll tell you what, that should not have been, too much of a surprise that they did get in, because Capital of Tennessee, they did win the Super South Conference championship game, beating the Panthers of Alabama Hoover by a final score of 34-18, actually last night as well. And so Capital of Tennessee, they will receive the 3 seed in the inaugural ACSA college football playoff, and they will go ahead and play against Lake Ozago in the second semifinal game here in the inaugural college football playoff. So now that leaves with just 1 slot remaining. A lot of very good candidates for this slot, but with that being said, the number 4 seed of the ACSA inaugural college football playoff and will be playing the Warwick Rebels in the very first semifinal game of this playoff tournament will go to the Seattle College Cascades, representing the Big Pacific Conference, and they do so by beating the Amsterdam Reefers, another top 5 team. They sneak into that number 4 seed by winning 16-15, and another team that was not even ranked in the preseason top 25 poll. They will be representing the Big Pacific Conference and will be going to play against the Warwick Rebels in the college football playoff. Congratulations to all of these 4 teams, though, in what should be a great playoff moving forward, though. So now the college football playoff has officially been announced. That still doesn't mean there isn't anything left to play for in this upcoming postseason. For the very first time in ACSA history, there are 21 total bowl games in the ACSA, and right now what we are about to do as well is reveal all of the bowl matchups that not only will be showing here, between over the course of the next couple of weeks. All of these bowl games I am about to show will be shown on my channel, so it's going to be a great 2 weeks of bowl game action that will lead up to the college football playoff semifinals and of course the college football national championship here in the ACSA. These are the 21 bowl game matchups. We are about to start revealing them right now. Let's go get it. And so to start out with the bowl season game reveal, we will start with the MGN Sports Bowl, which is sponsored by MGN Sports. The Wentzville Vikings from the Big Southwest Conference will go and play against the Darden Jaguars, who are representing the Stars and Stripes Conference. Wentzville, seemed to come off as a pretty average team over the course of the season within the Power 5. Meanwhile, for the Darden Jaguars, they actually started off the season 0-3, but after they won the very first overtime game in ACSA history against the Rugby Boilermakers, they were able to turn this thing around and subsequently go on a tear, which puts them in a position to make it to a bowl game despite not even making it to a conference championship game, which is hard to do as a group of 5 team versus how it is for a Power 5 team. So Darden Jaguars, they get an opportunity to end their season on a high note despite not going to the Stars and Stripes Conference Championship. They will be playing against the Wentzville Vikings in the MGN Sports Bowl. After that, we will go ahead and have the Travelers Choice Bowl, which features another Big Southwest Conference team in the Clinton College Indians. And then facing them on the football field will be the Atlantic Shore Conference representative in Florida Tech. The Techies were ranked as high as number 7 in the nation at one point, but they did fall from grace. They did get themselves back on track a little bit, but never quite reaching that high standard that they reached in the very beginning of the season. And so, but Florida Tech, they still find themselves in a bowl game and will be playing against the Clinton College Indians in the Travelers Choice Bowl here on Maximum Football 2020. So the third bowl game that we do have to reveal here is the Wild West Barbecue Shack Bowl that will take place between the Hebrew University of California, that does represent the Big Pacific Conference, and then also from the National Athletic Conference, the Burlington Vipers, who while they did not make it to the National Conference Championship game, they still have an opportunity to also finish their season on a high note. Should be a very interesting matchup between these 2 teams in the Wild West Barbecue Shack Bowl. Up next, we do have our second Power 5 matchup of bowl season. Here in the Zap Zoro Bowl, we do have the Lincoln Fighting Salt, which are from the Big North Athletic Conference, going to go and play against Phoenix State, which is from the Big Southwest Conference. Phoenix State was ranked at some point, but after they lost to Modesto State, they just simply could not recover after that point. So They do make it to a bowl game, but a little bit of a disappointing year because Phoenix State was ranked for much of the first half of the season, but just kind of fell off once they really got into the thick of conference play. But they can bounce back and get some momentum going before the end of the season. The Lincoln Fighting Salt also are in this position as well. We'll see who can take advantage of his opportunity here in the Zap Zoro Bowl between these two Power 5 squads. After that, we will have the Sim Sports Gaming Bowl, which will have another team representing the National Athletic Conference. We have the Vienna Patriots going to go and play against the University of Mid-Atlantic Crabs, who are from the Atlantic Shore Conference. University of Mid-Atlantic, they were ranked, close to the top 20 at some point and even had an opportunity to make it to the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship game, but they did kind of fell apart in those last 3 to 4 weeks. Meanwhile, Vienna kind of fell under the radar, it seems like, during the early parts of the season. A lot of media guys and girls were talking about, Beckett Ridge being the National Athletic Conference champion potentially, as well as Clinton University in New York, who actually did jump to the top 25 for the National Athletic Conference. But literally as soon as they did that, they absolutely fell apart. But Vienna, they kept working hard. They grinded away, and here they are. They're here in the National Athletic Conference. Had a chance to go to the conference championship game. Didn't quite happen for them, but very good season for the Patriots, and they have an opportunity to add a bowl win as well in the Sim Sports Gaming Bowl against the University of Mid-Atlantic Crabs. Up next, we do have the Operationsportscom Bowl, which is sponsored by Operationsports.com. In this bowl game, you will find the Sabio Dream going to go play against Iowa Tech in this bowl game that we got going on right here. Both of these teams were in the top 25 at some point, but they couldn't just keep up with some of the better teams in their respective conferences. The Sabio Dream will be representing for the Super South Conference. They are the first team to be announced in favor of the Big Super South Conference. Meanwhile, Iowa Tech, they will be representing for the Big North Conference, and they are also the first team to be revealed here in this bowl preview that we got going on for Season 1 that isn't going to, a college football playoff game. So congratulations to both teams, and it should be a great matchup between the Sabio Dream and the Iowa Tech Vikings in the Operationsports.com Bowl. Following the Operationsports.com Bowl, we do have the Gaming Tailgate Bowl game that does feature the Kent Colonials from the Atlantic Shore Conference and the Oxford Chargers representing the Stars and Stripes Conference once again. They are the second team from this Group of 5 conference to make it to bowl season, so congratulations to the Chargers. Delaware Kent is an interesting team. They started off ranked in the top 25 in the preseason, and then after that, they won their opening game, but despite winning their opening game, they fell in the top 25, and it was just generally disrespect from the ACSA media for Delaware Kent. They still had a very good season, but I'm thinking they were done a little dirty here, but they should get a good non-conference opponent, man, in the Oxford Chargers. This is a team that did make it to the Stars and Stripes Conference Championship game, went and played against Spring Creek in what was a very competitive game between these two teams. Didn't win, but, they did their thing out there for sure, and should be a good matchup between these two teams. I can't wait to see how this bowl game plays out between the Kent Colonials from the Atlantic Shore Conference and these Oxford Chargers that are going to be representing the Stars and Stripes Conference. Speaking of the Stars and Stripes Conference champion, we have the Spring Creek Moose, who did end up winning that conference championship game against the Oxford Chargers. They received an invitation to the Excel Train Bowl game and will be playing against the Indiana Fortin Whitetails, who will be representing the Big North Conference. This should be a good matchup as well, simply because the Whitetails, this was a team that looked like it was going to have national championship aspirations, and then after they were absolutely dismantled by Bluffton Tech, it was a little bit of a downhill slope, but this is still a team that finished 8-4. They had a solid season still, and can get up to 9-4. And gonna be playing against a solid team in the process, playing against a conference champion. That's never a bad thing for the resume. Of course, I can't wait to see how the Accelerate Bowl game goes for Ivor Spring Creek, as well as the Whitetails representing Indiana 14th University. Continuing the theme of conference champions getting an opportunity to go to bowl season, we have Alfred Tech, who won a very exciting national conference championship game, doing so in overtime, by the way. They are going to be going to the PX1 Sports Bowl game, which is sponsored by PX1 Sports over on Twitch, and to do so they are going to be playing up against the Halafa Chiefs, who are representing the Big North Conference, another team that was ranked at some point. They did recently fall out, but this is a very solid team. I'm very curious to see how Alfred Tech's going to do, because they did not do very good over the course of non-conference play before they got into National Athletic Conference play, and where they found their role. So we'll see how they handle the physicality of a Power 5 team, specifically like the one of the Halafa Chiefs. Should be a very bowl game to watch, and I certainly can't wait to see how that goes down between the Alfred Tech Bulls of the National Athletic Conference and the Halafa Chiefs that will be representing the Big North. So now we have the final bowl game matchup that features two teams that both are currently not ranked in the ACSA Top 25 poll. We have the University of California, Calabasas, home of the Warriors and representing the Big Pacific Conference, playing up against Mississippi A&M, home of the Vipers and representing the Super South Conference, in the Ryan Moody Bowl, which is of course sponsored by Ryan Moody over on YouTube. This should be a pretty good matchup between these two teams. Mississippi A&M was a top 5 team at some point. They had college football playoff aspirations, but they also took a fall from grace as well in what was a very brutal Super South Athletic Conference schedule. As for California Calabasas, they kind of flew under the radar. Not a team that's not too flashy, but a team that can certainly play well. It'll be interesting to see how these two teams end up matching up. We'll see who pulls, as Ron Moody's Twitter handle is, in shutdown safety, who can be the more defensive brutes in this football game between California Calabasas and Mississippi A&M in the Ryan Moody Bowl here on Maximum Football 2020. So now things get really interesting now, as we are starting to see teams from the top 25 being revealed in this bowl season preview in the inaugural season of the ACSA. We have South Alabama State, which just finished outside of the top 25. They're currently ranked number 26 in the entire country. They're going to be playing Chattanooga Tech, who is also ranked in the top 25. They're ranked 25 in the nation. Although it is very interesting that they paired up two teams from the same conference and put them in a bowl game, hoping it's something Maximum Football does address in the future. But in the meantime, these two teams will match up and should be a pretty interesting bowl game going forward here in the Trident Mega Bowl between the South Alabama State Hyenas and the Chattanooga Tech Fighting Bass, who are ranked number 25 in the entire country. Moving on to a non-conference bowl game matchup again, we have the Ron Peterson Show Bowl, which is sponsored by the Ron Peterson Show podcast. We have the number 24th ranked Coastal Alabama Waves going to be going to play up against the Detroit State Pit Bulls, who are ranked number 23 in the nation. Coastal Alabama, they will be representing for the Super South Conference once again. Meanwhile, the Detroit State Pit Bulls, they are from the Big North Conference. Should be a good matchup. Both of these teams play pretty tough football. Should be a battle that will probably be won in the trenches. Should be a great bowl game between Coastal Alabama and Detroit State in the Ron Peterson Show Bowl. That is, again, sponsored by the Ron Peterson Show. Following the Ron Peterson Show Bowl, we have the PlaybookSocial.com Bowl, which is sponsored by PlaybookSocial.com. Here we have the number 22 ranked team in the nation in the David Crockett Mavericks, who are from the Big Southwest Conference as well, going to be playing against Virginia Christian Saints, who lost the Sunshine Conference Championship game but did not lose any standing in the ACSA Top 25 polls. They're still number 21. They will be representing for the Sunshine Conference, and it looks like, unfortunately, they are going to be the only team from the Sunshine Conference that makes it to a bowl game this season, as it seems like Northern Virginia, despite the fact that they won the Sunshine Conference, they are actually going to be let out of bowl season. So the Sunshine Conference champions, they do not have a bowl game to go to. Meanwhile, Virginia Christian Saints, who are, I guess, officially the second best team in the Sunshine Conference, they get to go to a bowl game, and they will play up against a ranked David Crockett team. So that's going to be very controversial for sure. You know, feel bad for the kids at Northern Virginia, but, you know, that being said, Virginia Christian, they had a really good season themselves too, a 9-win season, so they should still be there. It just sucks that Northern Virginia is going to be let out as well, unfortunately. Speaking of unfortunate tragedies, we do have another conference matchup here in the Stilo Brand Bowl. And, not only is this a rematch, but this was also very recent as well. If you guys remember, for the very last regular season game of this inaugural season here, the ACSA, Little Rock and Central Georgia A&M were actually the two teams that matched up against each other. Little Rock and Central Georgia A&M, they were the final regular season game, and it looks like they're going to be playing each other again here in the Stilo Brand Bowl. Central Georgia A&M won that last regular season game. This will be a rematch once again. We'll see if Little Rock can remember the pain of losing that final regular season game, or will Central Georgia win 2 games in a row against the Little Rock Yellow Jackets here in the Stilo Brand Bowl. Reverting back to the regularities of non-conference play, we do have the Good Life Bowls, sponsored by the Second Sing podcast in the great state of Nebraska. Here we have the Herbert Hoover Old Glory that are representing the Atlantic Shore Conference. Going to be playing against Eastern Pennsylvania, who is representing the Big North. And I have to say, man, Eastern Pennsylvania, they have really gotten themselves back on track. They entered the top 25 a few weeks ago, and they have pretty much been on a roll ever since they returned back to the top 25. Herbert Hoover, they had an opportunity to play against Warwick early on this season. They lost that game. What was a competitive game, but ever since that loss, they just didn't seem like the same team. Now, they still are ranked number 18 in the nation, but still, that being said, not a great look for Herbert Hoover, not exactly carrying momentum into this bowl game. So we'll see how it goes here in the Good Life Bowl between Herbert Hoover College from the Atlantic Shore Conference and Eastern Pennsylvania, who is from the Big North Conference. Following the Good Life Bowl that is taking place in the great state of Nebraska, we now have the Puerto Rico Bowl, which is going to be taken in a much tropical place. The Puerto Rico Bowl, of course, taking place in Puerto Rico. This does have 2 Big North teams facing off against each other once again, though. As Southfield, who is ranked number 16 in the nation, they will be playing against the Cab A&M, who is ranked number 15, but should be a good bowl matchup, even though this is a conference matchup in the Big North Conference. Following the Puerto Rico Bowl, we have the Scout Scoops Bowl, which does take place between the Amazon Delivery Boys, representing for the Big Pacific Conference and coming in ranked number 14 in the nation. They will be playing up against the Hayes College Indians, who are ranked number 13 coming into this game, and will be representing for the Big Southwest Conference as well. Should be a great matchup as well. Both teams start off outside the top 25 as well, but have worked their way in after both of these teams have had solid seasons starting off, so you certainly love to see that, and can't wait to see how this bowl game turns out. Should be a great one to watch for you guys as well. Look for this to be a very close game between these two squads for sure. Following the Scout Scoops Bowl, we have the League Crowler Bowl, which does show the last teams in bowl games that do not feature any top 10 teams in the ACSA. And in this matchup, should be a very interesting matchup. The Alabama Hoover Panthers, who on paper had the best roster in college football coming into this season. They're currently only number 12 in the nation. They're going to be playing up against Southeastern Coast of Florida, who played the number 1 team in the nation during Conference Championship Week, only lost by 9 points when it was all said and done. So Southeastern Coast of Florida, even though they don't have the most talented team on paper, this is a team that can certainly, compete with the best teams in the country on their best days, and I think that's going to happen here in this bowl game. For Southeastern Coast of Florida, this might be their Super Bowl, because I don't think they knew that they were going to make it, to such a great bowl game. I'm sure bowl game was an aspiration for the Piranhas coming into this season, but to make it to this good of a bowl game, shout out to that coaching staff. And as for Alabama Hoover, I openly question if they even want to be there. Best team on paper. I'm sure they were, wanting a lot more, not only going to the college football playoff, but we're looking at, potential national championship team right here, and going to just a regular bowl game, at least in their eyes, still a very good bowl game. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if they want to be there, so I think the game will be a lot closer than maybe like what a lot of people are going to think. Should be a good one, though, between the Alabama Panthers and the Southeastern Coast of Florida, who does represent that Atlantic Shore Conference. So now we get into the bowl games that now feature top 10 teams in the ACSA, and unfortunately, this is also going to be a conference matchup between Texas Catholic and Sugar Land State. Should be a very good game, though. These teams have played each other in the regular season, and it was very close. Sugar Land State gave Texas Catholic everything they could possibly handle, but Texas Catholic, they were able to pull it out and win ultimately by a final score of 42-40. Very exciting ACSA primetime game, by the way. So we'll see how this goes down. Should be a great game, even though this is also a conference game in the Big Southwest Conference here in the Soden Bowl between Texas Catholic and Sugar Land State. So even though the Phenom Elite Bowl is going to also be a conference rematch between the University of Iroquois and the Bluffton Tech Fighting Muskrats, you have to admit this is probably going to be one of the most intense bowl games that we have on the slate before we get into the college football playoff. Bluffton Tech was ranked in the top 4 going into the conference championship game against the University of Iroquois, who was a team that they faced off against in that championship game. And University of Iroquois, they won the Big North Conference Championship, and while that was ultimately not enough to make it to the college football playoff, they played spoiler and eliminated Bluffton Tech in what was a de facto quarterfinal game between to get into the college football playoff. Bluffton Tech was effectively eliminated by losing that Big North Conference Championship game, and I'm sure the Fighting Muskrats are going to be pissed about that. Should be a very intense game between these two teams, and I would not be shocked if this turned into one of the bigger rivalries in all of college football, not because of geographical distance, but because both of these teams have so much to play for. University of Iroquois, they won round 1. They did win the Big North Conference Championship game, but can Bluffton Tech turn around and win here in the Phenom Elite Bowl and at least get some revenge before they end the season? And so the final bowl game that is to be revealed in terms of bowl game matchups is the California Classic Bowl game, which features the Oaksterdam Reefers, who come in ranked number 6 in the country and representing for the Big Pacific Conference. They are going to be playing against Southern New Mexico, who is the last team out. They finished ranked number 5 in the nation. Southern New Mexico, they lost in a very devastating way to Sugar Land State. Sugar Land State, of course, being the Big Southwest Conference champions, winning 54-15 against these Cougars. So as a result of that really bad loss, Southern New Mexico was the last team out. Ultimately, the committee just could not overlook that and put them into the top 4 in good faith. So this is basically the 5th place game right here between Oaksterdam and Southern New Mexico. Both of these teams, both losing their conference championship games, and they both had opportunities to make it into this college football playoff in the first place. And now both of these teams are going to be coming out here and trying to avoid going on a 2-game losing streak before we go into the offseason. So definitely a good game on our hands and a good way to end bowl season. before we actually get into the ACSA College Football Playoff, because those playoff games will be the last games that will be played here in Season 1 before we get into that off season. So with not only the top 4 teams revealed for the College Football Playoff, as well as the bowl games matchups also revealed as well, we'll go ahead and take a look at when these bowl games will be played. We're going to divide bowl week up into 2 weeks, so a lot of games going down over the next couple weeks, a lot of bowl games to be played. You are going to love to see it. We're going to go ahead and start with week 1, starting with the games that are going to be coming on Monday. We'll have the Wentzville Vikings taking on the Darden Jaguars from the Stars and Stripes Conference for the inaugural MGN Sports Bowl. This will be the first bowl game to be played. After that, we'll have the Travelers Choice Bowl, where we'll have 2 teams from the Power 5 playoff against each other. The Clinton College Indians from the Big Southwest Conference will go and play against the Florida Tech Techies. And then finally, to wrap up Monday, we'll have the Hebrew University of California from the Big Pacific Conference playing against the Burlington Vikings from the National Athletic Conference in what should be a wild game, as it is the Wild West Barbecue Shack Bowl. After that, we'll have the Wednesday slate of games coming for this week, starting with the Zap Zoro Bowl, where the Lincoln Fighting Salt will play against the Phoenix State Flames. This is the first game on Wednesday. After that, we'll have the Sim Sports Gaming Bowl between the Vienna Patriots, representing for the National Athletic Conference, going on to play against the University of Mid-Atlantic Crabs, coming from the Atlantic Shore Conference. This will be the second game this upcoming Wednesday. Beyond that, we'll have the Operation Sports Bowl, sponsored by Operationsportscom, where the Sabio Dream from the Super South Conference will play against the Iowa Tech Vikings, who will be representing the Big North. After that, we'll have this Friday's games, which will be basically wrapping up all of the non-top 25 bowl matchups in the inaugural ACSA bowl season. Starting off with the Gaming Tailgate Bowl, sponsored by the Gaming Tailgate. The Delaware Kent Colonials, representing the Atlantic Shore Conference, will be playing up against the Oxford Chargers, who represent for that Stars and Stripes Conference. After that, we'll have the Excel Train Bowl. Following that, where another Stars and Stripes Conference team in the Spring Creek Moose will go and play against the Whitetails from Indiana Foreign University. They will represent the Big North Conference. After that, we'll have the PX1 Sports Bowl, sponsored by the PX1 Sports Twitch channel. The Alfred Tech Bulls, who did win the National Athletic Conference Championship, will play against a solid team in the Halafa Chiefs. This is the third game that will be on Friday. And then finally, to wrap up the Friday bowl games, we'll have the University of California Calabasas, representing the Big Pacific Conference, will play against the Mississippi A&M Vipers from the Super South Athletic Conference. This will be to play for the Ryan Moody Bowl, sponsored by the Ryan Moody YouTube channel. After that, we'll move on to the second week of bowl games that will be taking place right here on the channel, starting with the Monday games. Once again, the South Alabama State Hyenas playing against Chattanooga Tech Fighting Bass in the Trident Mega Bowl. After that, we'll have the Rod Peterson Show, sponsored by, of course, Rod Peterson Show podcast. Coastal Alabama Waves, coming in ranked number 24 in the nation, will be playing against the Detroit State Pitbulls, coming in ranked number 23 in the nation. Finally, to wrap up next Monday's slate of games, number 22 ranked David Crockett Mavericks, who come in ranked number 22 in the nation, will play against the VCU Saints from the Sunshine Conference, the only team from the Sunshine Conference to represent in these bowl games. This is the PlaybookSocial.com bowl game, sponsored by the PlaybookSocial.com. Then after that, we'll go to next Wednesday's game, starting with the Little Rock Yellow Jackets playing against Central Georgia A&M, once again in the Stilo Brand Bowl. Beyond that, we have the Good Wife Bowl, where the Herbert Hoover Old Glory, ranked number 18 in the nation, will go and play against the Eastern Pennsylvania Beavers. This bowl game is sponsored by the Sing Second podcast in the great state of Nebraska. To round out the Wednesday games as well, we will have the Southfield Dalmatians play against the Cab A&M Barbs in the Puerto Rico Bowl. Also on Wednesday, I do believe, Wednesday or Friday, can't quite remember off the top of my head, the Amazon Delivery Boys will be playing against the Hayes College Indians in the Scout Scoops Bowl. With that being said, we'll go ahead and jump into the Friday slate of bowl games. The Friday, the day before the college football playoff games, those college football semifinal games will be played on Saturday, the next Saturday I should say, and then the following day after those semifinal games will be the national championship game that will happen on that Sunday. So, for those Friday bowl games, for the last of the non-college football playoff matchups, we have the University of Alabama Hoover, ranked number 12 in the nation, playing against the southeastern coast of Florida from the Atlantic Shore Conference in the League Crowler Bowl. Beyond that, we'll have the Soden Bowl, where the Texas Catholic Gladiators, coming in ranked number 10 in the nation, actually will play Sugar Land State. Interesting that they paired two conference teams for the same bowl game. Speaking of conference matchups, the Iroquois Eagles and Bluffton Tech will actually have a rematch in the Phenom Elite Bowl. Iroquois winning the last matchup against Bluffton Tech. We'll see if Bluffton Tech can at least get their revenge. And finally, for the final bowl game that will not be for college football playoff related, we have the Oaksterdam Reefers from the Big Pacific Conference gonna go and play against the Southern New Mexico Cougars in the California Classic Bowl. This will be the final bowl game before we go into the college football playoff matchups. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's ACSA episode with the reveal of not only the top 4 teams that did make it to this year's inaugural ACSA college football playoff, but also with every bowl game. Congratulations to all of these teams to be the first to go to each bowl game. It's going to be a really good one, man, so do me a favor and please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you have to be brand new to the channel, and like what you see as well. In the meantime, this is John J. Gaming on the mic, going to go ahead and sign off, but wishing you guys all a wonderful day, and also hopefully a happy holiday season as well. Here's to 2021 being better. Till then, take care, everybody.